Section D, Nutrition Standards and Guidelines.
Nutritional standards in the United States are set by the Committee on Dietary Allowances. This committee makes recommendations for the amount of nutrients needed for each person depending on their age group. These are the guys responsible for those recommended dietary allowances. These recommendations are periodically revised as additional scientific research provides new information.
The most recent revision of the committee's recommendations was in 1989. The recommended dietary allowances, or RDAs as they're commonly called, are expressed for age groups in terms of a specific height and weight. These are median heights and weights and are not meant to be ideal standards.
RDAs are not rigid requirements. They're just guides, but good guides. The RDAs for nutrients are set high enough to meet the needs of all healthy people. They're intended for professional use in community agencies that provide food for needy clients.
In 1992, the U.S. government introduced the food guide pyramid to replace the four-food group wheel. Instead of reinventing the wheel, they decided to rebuild the pyramid with a fresh design. Let's take a look at it.
The food guide pyramid was designed to encourage all Americans to increase their intake of grains, fruits, and vegetables, while decreasing fat and sugar in their diets. We can all do a little of that, can't we? The pyramid is made up of the 5 food groups and the recommended number of servings from each group we should have each day.
Here are the 5 food groups and daily recommended servings. First, at the base of the pyramid, breads, cereals, rice, and pasta, the largest group, with 6 to 11 servings recommended daily. Second, vegetables, the next largest, with 3 to 5 servings. Third, fruits, with 2 to 4 servings. Fourth, meats, poultry, fish, dry beans and peas, eggs, and nuts, 2 to 3 servings. Fifth, milk, yogurt, and cheese, also 2 to 3 servings.
At the top of the pyramid is an area composed of fats, oils, and sweets. Although people often think of the top of the pyramid as the best, in this case it's not. It's the smallest. It's also the section we need the least of in our diets. Think of the base of the pyramid as the foundation of your diet. Breads, cereals, rice, and pastas, the stuff we need the most. The stuff at the very top, we need the least. The pyramid indicates that we should consume fats, oils, and sweets sparingly.
One other thing about the pyramid. Note that the fat symbol, the circle, and the sugar symbol, the triangle, are scattered throughout the food pyramid. Those are the naturally occurring fats, oils, and sugars in various foods. That's why we don't need to eat a bunch of junk food and more fats than we need. We already get enough of that stuff in the rest of our diet.
Taken as a whole, the pyramid visually describes 3 important concepts about nutrition: proportion, moderation, and variety. The pyramid suggests proportion by telling the number of servings of each group to consume each day, variety by showing all the different categories of food, and moderation by limiting those foods that are not as good for us. Now, serving size can vary greatly from person to person. That's why we have standard portions depicted in the exchange list system. We'll explain.
In 1950, the American Diabetes Association and the American Dietetic Association developed the exchange list system as a tool for managing the diets of people with diabetes. People who don't suffer from diabetes, however, also use it now. The exchange list differed from the U.S. Department of Agriculture guide by suggesting food exchanges between food groups based on the equivalency of food value and size of portion.
Now that we know about nutrients and the food guide pyramid, we need to know how to plan a healthy diet. The food guide pyramid encourages a total of about 1,600 to 1,800 kilocalories, which is the minimum amount of food needed to meet the RDAs for most adults.
In planning your diet, you should remember 3 things: balance, variety, and moderation. And believe it or not, this is not as difficult to achieve as you might suspect.
For example, a snack consisting of a bean burrito with cheese and tomatoes along with a glass of orange juice includes all 5 food groups. Keep in mind, RDA stands for recommended, not required. Also, remember that dietary allowances don't mean daily allowances. In other words, you're not required to eat the RDA for each nutrient each day. Instead, your overall average consumption should meet the recommendations. Over the course of a week or so, you should achieve balance, variety, and moderation.
Sometimes, even something as simple as reading a food label can be confusing. New on the food labels are calories from total fat and cholesterol, as well as the percentages of their recommended daily value. Dietary fiber is now required on the label as well. This is because these nutrients are the ones Americans should watch most closely.
Now let's focus our attention on what we can do individually to protect ourselves from catching a foodborne illness.
Our greatest risk from food is caused by bacteria. Bacteria either directly invade the intestinal wall or produce toxins that do. One thing you can do to protect yourself is to avoid the possibility of eating foods infected with bacteria. This may seem simple, but did you know that 1/3 to 1/2 of the cases of diarrhea in the U.S. are caused by foodborne organisms?
Yes, it's true. But here are a few things you can do to protect food from being infected by bacteria.
Wash your hands thoroughly before handling food. Wash fresh fruits and vegetables thoroughly. Wash all countertops, cutting boards, dishes, etc. Don't let foods meant for eating come in contact with surfaces that were touched by uncooked meat, poultry, and fish. Cook animal foods thoroughly. Store leftovers in the refrigerator quickly after eating. And keep hot foods hot, which means you shouldn't let a hot meal sit and get cold before you eat it. And cold foods like egg salad or yogurt should be eaten cold. Don't let them sit and get warm.
Now that we know about all the food we're supposed to eat, let's look at what happens to it when it gets into our remarkable body.